Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today's founder is Peter Muhlenberg. Now, Peter Muhlenberg is a fascinating character because while many of the founders who received a higher education went to England or Scotland or somewhere in Great Britain to get their education, Muhlenberg was of German heritage and he actually went to Germany where he studied and became a Lutheran minister before returning to British North America. Now, he did grow up in Pennsylvania, but he ended up moving to Virginia, and eventually he became successful enough where he was elected to the Virginian House of Burgesses. And this was in the build-up to the American Revolutionary War, where he became friends with the likes of people such as George Washington, Richard and Henry Lee and the Lee family, Patrick Henry, all of our favorite Virginian founders became friendly with Peter Muhlenberg. Then when the American Revolutionary War breaks out, well, Peter Muhlenberg ends up joining the war. He becomes a minister at war. And not as a chaplain like many ministers did, he actually joined as a captain, I should say a colonel in the Continental Army that his friend George Washington appointed him as. And he recruited his men, he got together his force, and he joined Washington throughout most of the New York, New Jersey campaign. He fought mostly with the main army throughout the war. Until a few years in, when he was actually sent to Virginia by Washington to secure the defenses of Virginia. Now, he stayed in this position through the end of the war. He did fight in the Battle of Yorktown under the Marquis de Lafayette's command, after which he decides to move back to Pennsylvania, where he was originally from. And while he was there, he gets elected very quickly to the Supreme Executive Council as vice president of the Supreme Executive Council, which in essence, Pennsylvania had some weird government for a while there, but essentially he was lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania right after moving back, having not been there for a few decades, which is great for him. So he continues in this position and eventually is elected as an original member of the United States House of Representatives, one of the very few inaugural members of the United States House. He would actually serve 2 non-consecutive terms in the House of Representatives, and what's fascinating is in between these terms, he actually set up a society to support Democratic Republican candidates. Now, there would be copycat societies throughout the United States, and they would end up being called Democratic Republican societies, but he didn't really have a name for it at first. But this essentially became one of the earliest political machines, at least on the national stage. I have talked about recently Aaron Burr and Tammany Hall in New York specifically, but Muhlenberg's society was copied throughout the United States. And in fact, it got some bad press because many of the candidates who were supported by Muhlenberg Society, well, they ended up being associated with the Whiskey Rebellion. They also ended up being associated with Citizen Jeanette, who was the French ambassador sent to North America, to the United States, and Washington did not like either of the two things I just mentioned, especially Citizen Jeanette. So he did get a bad taste in his mouth, but Muhlenberg actually ends up getting appointed to the United States Senate for a very brief time, about 2 months, right about the time that Thomas Jefferson becomes president. Afterwards, he goes back to Pennsylvania, where Jefferson appoints him to several middling positions for the federal government in Pennsylvania, including port customs collector at the port of Philadelphia. So that's the life of Peter Muhlenberg. Really fascinating character. Like I said, the whole going to Germany part is unique to him. I don't know of any other ones. I know his brother did participate, and I am going to make a video soon about his brother. But I don't believe his brother actually went to Europe, at least not to Germany. Either way, Peter Muhlenberg, whose name I was able to not mispronounce till the very end here, despite my best efforts, because I knew it would happen at some point. But Peter Muhlenberg, like I said, a minister at war. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe. We have a live video every Wednesday, and you need to watch that if you want to succeed at our trivia night on Friday. So if you're coming to Trivia Friday, you should, and make sure you come tomorrow, Wednesday, and every Wednesday where I do a live recap of the last 7 founders of the day. Thank you again for watching, and I'll be back with that live video tomorrow.